things just exploded. Joe Budden shuts down Flip after their heated fight drama, and fans are demanding the truth. Was this a real falling out, or just smoke for the cameras? Tonight, we're breaking down exactly what went down between Joe and Flip, and why this feud might be bigger than anyone expected.
Hear you, what did you say? Sounds like aggressive.
Yeah. Dude is obviously instigating something.
Yes.
And you gave him exactly what he wanted.
Yes.
And that's the thing I hated about it.
You've come up here for months, maybe years, talking about how the old that you used to do, you don't want to be known for that no more.
Y'all gonna be mad at me. We gotta have our intervention later.
Okay, no, we have no intervention now. I'm just saying.
We gotta have it. Sorry. Sorry.
Flip and Joe Budden, the Queens, are back at it. Indeed, it appears that the two are at odds. Flip has been enjoying the podcast in general. Even though it has been fairly evident, it seems like he's been hinting at something that might be bothering him for the past month. However, I'll let the video do the talking.
Sound of voice.
Yeah, I know for a long time since I was a kid.
You better sit down.
Yeah,
Yeah, you still know the sound of girl's voice?
There's a lot of shit going on. I'll punch you in your face.
All right, I'm a chill.
You play with my family?
No.
It's already. I know what the going on, but you lucky. I respect you. I'm on a new leaf. I got some personal going on, but I'm watching you.
Even Flip's tenure on the Joe Budden program appears to have taken a turn for the worse after he got into an altercation on his channel.
You stopped the Flip fight segment.
Because I didn't want to center Flip's fight.
For those of you who are unaware, Queen's Flip got into a brawl with a young man while attending the New York City Labor Day parade. Now, that fight appeared to be really unpleasant for Flip, but if he chose to release it, one has to ask why it could have been thus, and it may be a sign of where he's headed. Maybe he shouldn't have done that in the first place. On the other hand, it did get rather viral. Flip would, however, occasionally post on Twitter something that caught my attention. "Let me ask a question," said one of them. "I'm dealing with a personal issue. Do you people think I'll get fired because of the Joe Budden podcast? Do you people think I'll just vent my frustration on my co-host? Let's be honest, please." At first, it appeared as though Melissa Ford might have been the target of this. Recall that Melissa Ford has vanished from the program and no explanation has been offered as to why. They have brought her up at a few intriguing points, but no one is going into any further detail about what's going on. So Flip would reiterate this. Right now, neither Melissa Ford nor anybody else is involved in this. My energy feels strange, as others have remarked, but that's because I'm coping with a personal issue. I'm dealing with it and going on. Don't read too much into that then. Flip felt compelled to post these tweets because viewers began to notice that he had become a total phantom, mute, and uncommunicative in the previous episodes. Additionally, he says just enough to give the impression that he is carrying out his duties, which is intriguing because you would assume he would just leave if he had a problem with the pod. But he's staying to pick up a check. Then, if you listen to the podcast itself, you'll notice that Flip was shut down by Joe when he attempted to join the conversation.
I don't have no beef with you.
It don't have to be beef. We can have a conversation. I think it's unfair to the listeners that you may start something. Yo, I'm gonna let it simmer in and not.
Given that Flip was shut down twice, it is clear that Joe does not like that he is fighting on his platform and then attempting to handle the situation alone. Joe Budden is basically telling us, dude, don't bring that drama over here. You're not prepared for this. You have nothing else to contribute to the subjects. And because you lack energy, it's more obvious than ever. This show used to reach new heights thanks to your energy. What, therefore, might Joe have done to cause Flip to lose interest? Flip thought that he made several concessions, in my opinion. That is to say, there were financial items of some kind, changes of some kind were also made, and he most likely anticipated receiving a reward. Flip is also a little unprofessional overall. By that I mean that he thinks Joe will support him because of their previous friendship or his relationships with his family members and other individuals. But Joe Budden is no longer that kind of person. Furthermore, a person isn't even at issue. Joe has resources. He has a company. He has Ian Schwartzman and a group of individuals who oppose Flip's methods in friendship, business, and other areas. The kind of friendship, business, and homie deal that many folks enjoy. And Joe Budden tweeted something today that caught my attention, and perhaps provides some context for Flip's present predicament and the podcast as a whole. September is my favorite month. For me, it's the Monday of the month. This month is full of action.
It's time to prepare, strategize, meditate, think, clean, rearrange, readjust, and make difficult choices. Call those you love and haven't spoken to, have a deep conversation with your higher power, and face what you've avoided. The table you set in September will either support, nourish, or demolish you throughout the course of the following year or two. Like, well, that's interesting. Joe's reflecting on himself. And as much as Joe's tweet is receiving a lot of attention, I think that people are overlooking a more significant one. That tweet is from Ian Schwartzman. This week is significant. Let's get started. Brief remarks, but I believe there's a chance these two may have met or discussed their goals for the remainder of the fourth quarter. Given that the fourth quarter is a make-or-break month for businesses, what are the chances that Melissa Ford would have some sort of weird epiphany and then vanish? Yes, exactly. Many firms are looking to spend money in the fourth quarter, so if you are in flux and are not ready to take advantage of that, you may find yourself in a difficult scenario overall. Let's also keep an eye on Queen's Flip. Okay, Queen's Flip, you're dealing with a lot. I sincerely hope so, but it appears that you're succeeding brilliantly on Flip the Network. Are you abdicating your responsibility to the Joe Budden Network by taking advantage of this circumstance? Furthermore, does Joe Budden's brand generate enough revenue to support the Queen's Flip the Network brand? Because Joe Budden pays him, and it's said to be between $100,000 and $200,000. Flip the Network may bring in a lot of money, but there are a lot of expenses involved, don't you think? Flip likes to create a brand of video that requires hiring a cameraman, but some YouTube channels, perhaps like mine, don't require dealing with individuals. He also enjoys bringing in his cast of characters. That adds a lot of drama and tension, and could make execution more difficult. It's also well known that Flip meets Joe without a true team. He may have a few individuals, but he doesn't have his own Ian. He doesn't seem to have a manager who actually handles things. If things don't work out, he may have a lawyer or an accountant, but he can't deliberately work around the clock, or at least 7 hours a day to build Flip's brand. There isn't a man telling him, don't do this deal. Avoid making that bargain. Actually, come on over here, head over there. When he was working with Ian, he did, but things soured when Flip saw that Joe Budden's friendship with Ian would always come before his own.
The conversation that I had with the business partner of yours.
So not yours anymore.
No. When you that's true. That's true.
You have developed a relationship
yeah.
with this person outside of Joseph Anthony
And
Budden
I
or
realized
any of my companies or businesses.
when
You trusted someone to have your best interest at heart at all times.
Now, since Flip struggles with feedback, I'm not entirely sure how he handles this situation. Correct. Flip struggles with feedback because if you provide it to him and it works, he feels that you accepted responsibility for his actions. He would prefer not to follow your suggestion because you may play the card of, oh, I'm the one who helped Flip if he does and it works. And I believe Joe experienced that. That's what I believe transpired with Ian. Additionally, it seems to podcast listeners that Flip has stolen a lot of Joe Budden's sauce, which is another intriguing aspect of the Joe Budden dynamic. He doesn't want to block out as much in his structure or company methods. And Flip says it, which is how we know that. Yo, Joe Budden put me onto things, he will add. Joe Budden taught me a lot of stuff that I was unaware of. On the other hand, Joe Budden will never acknowledge that Flip assisted him with anything. Yo, you took the show to another level, he would add. He won't say, hey Flip, the way you did this really increased the business's infrastructure. You gave me a lot of that. Flip the Network is what I become. He will never say it, but I became a lot of what you planted. Thus, when there are actually two mentors, it produces this type of mentor-mentee interaction. Isn't there more than one guy? Flip considers himself a genius. There are others with games besides Joe. Flip creates content. Hekino can make someone hot off the streets. It's a fact. He can harm Ish and Ice in the same way as Joe did, and Flip is connected to Shammy, Space, G-Money, and Ice. I'm aware that you dated a few people, but they didn't. They worked without Flip as well, but for several of those individuals, Flip was their most prominent role to date. And there are the games that Ian and Joe enjoy playing, don't they? They pulled a devilish prank on Flip. They positioned it as, he's bringing in the numbers when Mark Lamont Hill arrived. He is doing a great job. He's working on his project.
The numbers have gone up since I've been here?
Put it this way. They haven't gone down. He's been helping. Have you checked Patreon numbers?
Do we ever get to see the Patreon numbers?
No.
But we must investigate, did he bring in more people than Flip? Flip was about to wake it up on Mark at one point. Additionally, take a look at this video.
Become be a manager.
They look this what do you got? Ratings? Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
What you gotta do? What you gotta do?
Well, the numbers didn't.
Oh, you don't see the numbers.
No, I see the numbers.
He didn't go all the way, but he was on the verge of telling Mark, yes, Mr. PhD, you're fantastic. Everyone is aware of that. However, I have a YouTube channel. I received a Patreon. Both growing a core audience and advancing this podcast are skills I possess. Flip. My goodness, I was huge when I arrived. I made it heated again after Isha Nice made it dull. And it's accurate. Isha Nice plateaued and flipped straight in, which I believe is no secret. However, Mark is being positioned as a numbers getter by Ian and Joe. Additionally, they claim that Patreon has increased. However, the Patreon numbers are hidden from view. Once Flip arrived, no one could see how much the Patreon numbers increased. However, Flip, who is a YouTube analyst, may state the YouTube numbers increased when I arrived. According to the facts, it is highly probable that the Patreon numbers increased. However, please share your thoughts on this cold battle between Flip and Joe that is suddenly turning into a heated one. Oh, anticipate that Flip will remove a few pods and sit a few out. This is in addition to Melissa Ford's ghost going missing. But we'll have to wait and see. Is anyone else prepared to take the lead? Ice and Ish have failed to step up over 4 years. Ish has deteriorated as a podcaster, if anything. I suppose he's improved, Ice, but I believe he's simply been more visible, and people are attempting to cast sympathy votes for him. Will Manny be prepared to take charge? We'll have to see if he's prepared, but I'm not sure, but now is his moment to shine. I mean, he appears prepared at times and unprepared at others. Time will tell. Having said that, please follow me on Instagram, keep up with me on Patreon. Up there are a few Patreon episodes. There's the content I created on places where I talk to Ian and Joe and Manny about the work culture at the Joe Brother Network in light of what's occurring with Melissa Ford and even Flip. I went on to give a 23-minute analysis of Blue Telusma, the former co-host of Melissa Ford's I'm Here for the Food. Additionally, I find their relationship to be really intriguing. Interesting stuff. We must investigate everything. Don't forget to use Patreon.